Welcome to the Charity Matters podcast. I'm Heidi Johnson, nonprofit founder, storyteller, and believer in good. For more than a decade, I've shared stories of modern day heroes, people who see the problems in the world and choose to do something about them. Our mission is to help the helpers, inspire service, and remind us all that joy and purpose are often found in the smallest acts of kindness. Did you know that there's 36.2 million small businesses in the United States? And what happens when those small businesses and entrepreneurs have a passion for building something meaningful, but they don't have access to the experts that they need to survive? That's where today's guest, Jane Vernon and the Acceleration Project, step in. They connect experienced business leaders with small business owners, and Jane has created the most remarkable nonprofit that's strengthening our local economies, one business at a time. And I can't wait for you to learn her story and how she uses her gifts to change the world and all of our communities. I am so excited to have Jane Vernon today here from the Acceleration Project. Welcome, Jane. I'm so happy you're here.
It is such a delight to be able to speak with you, Heidi.
This is so fun. And it's also so fun when mutual connections connect us. And previous Charity Matters podcast guest, Natalie Silverstein, who has just been a dear friend who connected the two of us. So it's really fun for me when we just keep paying it forward, because that's one of the fun things that we do as nonprofit founders is connect each other.
Natalie and I had an immediate energy, and we both are wired that way. The more you can bring people in and introduce people to one another, the more we can do together.
Right. Amen. Amen to that. So let's just jump in and talk about what you do at the Acceleration Project. It's such a very cool concept, nonprofit, that I'm really excited for our audience to learn about it.
So I'm so excited to share because I love what I get to do. I built this 14 years ago. We're called the Acceleration Project. The acronym is TAP, and it's all about harnessing untapped potential to accelerate growth. We are grounded in the most important notion of building economic independence and wealth for small business owners. And if I set the stage for you, small business owners are about 36 million in the United States of America. Wow. 62% of private sector jobs are offered by small business owners. So they are vitally important to the fabric of our economy, of our community, of our country. And what I built this, and I didn't kind of wake up one morning and say, I want to build a nonprofit. What I wanted to do was to solve problems I saw. And what we do is we provide that bespoke, customized support to small business owners to enable them to grow and flourish. And what I noticed, and this is back in 2012, and this is all pre-COVID, but it still was a seismic change for small business owners because they were contending with e-commerce, big box stores, complete change in buyer behavior. So you can imagine, it used to be that you might walk down your main street and you would pick up things at your pharmacy and your local, stationery store and your clothing.
Not anymore.
That was the way, and that was the way it was. And yet almost overnight, all of a sudden their customers started getting brown boxes at their doors. And that was it was almost like a shock to the system. And what I had done prior to the 14 years ago.
We're going to get into that. I'm going to stop you. Okay. I'm going to stop you right there. We're going to unpack this, because let's even go back farther. Let's go back to just kind of early beginnings, because you even said it yourself. I didn't just wake up and decide to start a nonprofit. There's a lot of pieces that happen in your life and a lot of stepping stones on the path that lead to this moment. So talk to me about your younger years, your life before 2012, role models, or if you look back, what were some of the signs that you might be walking toward this path? What were you doing, or who was mentoring or showing you the way to give back?
It's so interesting because you reflect on it so much later in life, you don't realize what the building blocks are.
Right.
I always liked solving problems. And to me, there's always a lot of discussion about what's wrong. And it's really hard to actually fix the things that are wrong, and you don't
Right.
actually have to fix them perfectly, but you need to take steps in the direction to make it better. And so even when I was like, I could think when I was in college, I saw inner city youth that were latchkey children that went home and didn't have supervision. And so I'm like, okay, I could leverage like the Girl Scouts of America to build a troop to bring in the second, it was actually first graders to sixth graders and and get them, to do this activity with us after school. We brought them back to our campus. We brought them to the fire station, the police station, but it was a way of turning an institution kind of on its head a little because that's not really
Right.
what it was. So they always,
Right.
but I'm like, oh, that's the problem. I'm going to find a kind of workaround. So we lobbied the Girl Scouts, let us have a huge troop from like, huge age difference, and we did it. And the big girls mentored the little girls. So, but like I
I
wanted,
love that.
it's kind of like you're almost wired that way. And
Hmm.
I always loved mobilizing. I would see like a problem and I want to mobilize people to fix it.
I love that. It's almost like you did Girl Scouts meets Girls Club. Like you made it like Girls and Boys Club. Like we're going to just take this organization and we're going to add a little layer to that. I love that. So talk to me about what you were doing in your career before 2012, because I have a sense, I could be wrong. I'm going to take a gander that maybe you were a
Yeah.
consultant or something in that as a
Right.
problem solver, because you obviously you're helping small businesses now, but obviously you have a background in doing this work. So what were you doing, pre-starting this?
Right. So you're prescient. Or yes, I started my career in management consulting. I worked at Bain and Company, and we partnered with Fortune 500 companies and gave them really strong advice. And it wasn't
Right,
that the Fortune 500 companies didn't have like the smarts and capabilities, but bringing in an outside kind of board of directors to help guide you was incredibly powerful. And
right,
I saw how that helped, and then you fast forward, and when I saw what was going on in the small business community, I'm like, well, wait a second, it doesn't seem quite fair. Like, why can Fortune 500 companies get this, but the fabric of our main streets can't? I'm going to fix that.
right.
That was the impetus then. But I spent my life in the private sector. I got an MBA. I did all, and you don't always know where that path is going to take you. But I knew I was
Right.
assembling skills and experiences that ultimately, paid off so many years later.
Well, I mean, obviously, and that really is the purpose of why we're here in this world is to figure out what our gifts are and then to give them away. So the sooner we figure them out, the sooner we can help other people and give them away. So I kind of love that. So talk to me all, I mean, I've interviewed thousands of nonprofit founders in the last 15 years, a lot of people. And most people, I would say 99% can remember the moment when the light bulb went off, the aha moment that says, I am making a U-turn in my life and I'm doing this. I have to do this. So, did you have that moment? And if so, set the stage.
I would say that it was gradual in that
Okay.
I had a really demanding job. I had two young children. We moved to the suburbs. I was actually just offered a promotion. And at that moment, my boss said to me, you must be physically present 5 days a week. I don't care that you commute an hour and a half. It actually, at the time, it was a woman who had no children, no, wasn't
Oh,
married. She said, like, your personal life is irrelevant to me. You need to be here. And my husband was working all the time. And I decided at that moment, so that moment was, I'm going on leave of absence. I can't sustain the
right,
life the way we're describing. And
right.
when I arrived in the suburbs, I can't sit still. I wanted to, I recognized that there was no playground for my little children. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
like I'm on leave of absence for my job. Let's build a playground. And what happens is like you start to get involved in new spheres. So I got
Right.
super involved in civic matters, and I led the League of Women Voters. I was the planning board chair. Like one thing always leads to another, and you don't always
Right.
know where it's going to lead.
No, you don't.
So I would say that my work, particularly in local economies through planning board, informed my understanding of the like how important local economies are. So when you think about that aha moment, there were building blocks, but the other piece, there was the aha moment when, and so throughout, I would say for a decade, I was very deep in um, the civic space. I had taken like a career gap. I stopped earning, the big, Wall Street,
Right.
you know,
Right.
salaries, and did like consulting on the side. But the big moment was when my oldest was going to college. And like, wow, I spent all this time readying her to go out and seize the world. You know, what are like all the skills that I've developed? I got to do something to fix the world, kind of thing. So
Right.
I leveraged like my civic experience with my private sector experience, and it all kind of came together when I'm like, oh, I know what I want to do. I would go from business owner to business owner talking about what they were experiencing because like I had that skill set. I love talking
Right.
about it. And I'm like, wow, like if I'm helpful, can you imagine if I can get an army of people like this? And I also noticed that there were many women just like me who had left, Wall Street and
Right.
consulting, marketing, finance, that I
Right.
could harness their skill set. And it's actually at that moment, it was so hard to find an on-ramp back if you had taken any time off. So I'm going to
Yeah.
solve two problems. I'm going to take this incredible resource and I'm going to train them to work for small business. It's going to enhance their skill set, career trajectory, and they're going to be able to advise these businesses who could never access this kind of support.
Right. And I do think, being at home, I took that decade off with my kids as well from my career. I ended up starting a nonprofit in that space. So my kids thought I was a president of Children's Hospital. I was obviously not, but I ran a nonprofit there. But I do think that time at home really did. There was a whole lot of other skills that are undervalued and underrated that are absolutely critical to the work we do. And so much of what we're doing, even as moms, is building community, which is the core of what we do as nonprofit founders. So I think that there are no accidents, right? We are put in these places for a reason, and what a privilege when you look back what it was to be home with your kids, right? What a gift. But it's tough when you have a really big career and then you kind of stop and then finding those outlets. And I remember being in a baby play group looking around thinking, is this really it? like what else is there? Because there's got to be something, got to be a little something else. But talk to me about some of the challenges in the early years. 2012 you started this. Talk to me about some of those challenges. What did those look like, and what are some of the challenges you're finding you still have today?
So first off, and I now I identify very directly with the small business owners with whom I work daily because there are always naysayers. The number of people who told me this would fail, it was just so it was enormous.
Right.
But you
Right.
just keep at it. I knew this would work, and I just had to figure out exactly how to do it. I set it up as a nonprofit because there was no other way for the small business owners to get this level of service at an affordable. Like we do it for free. So I
Right.
fundraise to be able to do it for free. But at the beginning, you're like sitting around the kitchen table, like for real, like around the kitchen table. At the
Right.
earliest stages, I had a co-founder, and for the first 4 years, we worked together and it was all volunteer driven. So, but when I look back and I think about how I gave everybody jobs and they were all volunteers, but I kind of treated it like it was like a business obligation. And the hardest part at the beginning is particularly when you come from corporate America, you have a team, you have technology
Right.
department, you have, assistants, you have like, and all of a sudden it's all you, and so you
Right.
have to figure it out. You have to open a bank account and you have to like build a website and all these things that
Right. A
I didn't have
brand. I mean, all of it.
every bit of it. And
You're a business owner, and that's the other thing that, nonprofits, and here's for you, you're helping business owners, but you're also a small business owner because at our core, nonprofit founders are entrepreneurs just like your customers.
right. And so one of the things I actually had to educate my board on, and I had to build a board at that moment, bylaws, all the basics,
Right.
is that just 501c3 is a tax status. That is not how you operate. what company would operate and not have reserves? What company would
Right.
operate at break even? Like, I need to invest in the future. And so I run this like it's a for-profit institution, like with the kind of rigor. And I put in systems really early on. When we were, I think I had 20 consultants. Now I have 10 times that. Uh, I put in Salesforce. Like, I put in the tools to lay the
Right.
infrastructure to make sure that we could be a going concern and sustain ourselves for decades.
I mean, and that's the critical piece because when we build these businesses, we want them to last. And so many of us back into this work, right? We don't, I mean, you kind of came in full throttle and you knew what you were doing, but so many people that I talk to, something happens to them. They get sick and they want to make sure that the next person doesn't get this disease. And so they don't have that skill set. And so, which is exactly the people that you're helping, right? And trying to get those skills. So talk to me, we were talking about raising kids and busy life and all the things that are happening. But, what fuels you when it's overwhelming, when it's hard, when life gets tough? Like, what is it on those days when you're like, how am I going to keep doing this? Because it is hard work and nonprofit is a different animal. It's you have people you're taking care of, and if you don't take care of them, they can't take care of their people. So when you go to bed at night, it's not like your Fortune 500 customer that you're like, oh, they're fine. It's different, right? You have kind of the weight
It
of,
is so deeply personal. And so
right?
what keeps me going is like I see the difference we make. And it's not just so you help one small business owner, and I, can speak about a woman we helped. She ran a construction company in Florida. She the people she employed depended on her to be able to support their families. Her
Right.
family, some of her family lived abroad. They depended on her to be able to send money home. So it's not like I helped only her grow her revenues,
Right.
but like, think about the ripple effect of that. And like really,
Right.
like the contrafactual, think about what the world looked like when COVID shut everything down. And all of a sudden, storefronts were empty, and what that means to like the local economies, like it is devastating.
Right.
Uh, so,
Absolutely.
so I and the number of hugs I get from the small business owners
Mm,
when I get to be with them in person, like you saved us. When you spoke about, many of us, like when we start businesses, we're excellent at the product, the service, the passion around solving the problem, but very few understand their numbers because why would they? Why should they? And so
right.
75% of our clients come to us without like the financial clarity. And most small business owners don't have more than, and we saw this during COVID, like a month of cash on hand. So when
Right.
you have one thing go wrong, everything can fall apart.
You're
So
right.
we are the
Easily.
scaffolding, like at the Acceleration Project TAP, we provide that wraparound support. We are here for you no matter what you face. We do it for free because I fundraise. You talk about, I have two customers. My customers are my small business owners who are scrappy and determined and amazing, and also those who fund us. So I have
Right.
to make
Yeah.
sure that I deliver for both.
Absolutely. And that is the role that we have, in the nonprofit space. We are constantly funding our mission and then providing the service that we provide. And we wear so many more hats than even a small business owner. I mean, it's just I always say it's not the best business model. Maybe you can help fix the
No,
nonprofit
oh, there's so
model.
many. I actually want to do advocacy around it because and we could talk about the policy issues, but it's not efficient to constantly have to have like 1 year grants. Like you can't invest in the future if you never know if you're
Right.
going to have the funding the next year. So I work really hard for multi-year grants. I work really hard to have a reserve because you don't want to be in a hiring and firing model, and your clients need you. So
It is a
my
really messed up business model. It's just, I mean, I can't, I've been in the space for over 20 years, and I'm just like, there has got to be a better way to do this.
Like during
But
COVID, like we had to cancel our benefit, and yet my services were needed more than ever. I doubled down, hoping I'd figure out a way to pay people. Like, I knew I needed to
right,
get bigger because that's what we live for. We are there to help. Like, why would I exist if I couldn't help during COVID to manage your cash? But I didn't
right.
know how the money was going to come in.
Right. And I mean, all of us had to get so creative, but we did. I mean, I run a youth leadership nonprofit as my day job, and we did camp in a box because we had these kids that were isolated
Right.
and lonely and just absolutely having their mental health, cave in. And we set hundreds and hundreds of camp in a box and produced this online Zoom. Who knew we could do that? But we did it. But we did it. We found ways because that's what small business owners do, right? We're creative and we do have the flexibility to be a little more nimble and make and pivot a little bit easier than other organizations. We're smaller ships, we can turn a little
Well,
tighter.
I like how you said, like, we don't have all the answers, and our job is to listen, to see what the market needs, and to be really agile at pivoting, at changing, and really resilient because one door closes, another opens. So when I would hear
Absolutely.
no, I would just figure out a different way.
And by the way, you need that skill as a fundraiser, and you need that skill in the space big time because no is something that you hear. I used to do sales when I started my career in sales and marketing and the software business, and no was the best training that I got. Right, being used to hearing no became like seriously like, oh, okay, whatever. There's a yes around the corner. I got
Right.
this. But talk to me about yeses. Talk to me about impact and success. You mentioned grants and 3-year grants. Um, I have such a love-hate relationship with our impact measurement. When you're measuring impact, there's so many layers to it. And I know in a business, it's a little bit easier to look at the revenue and measure the impact. But in a nonprofit, when you're in the example you just gave of the woman in Florida, you know, that's immeasurable. So how do you define success and what does that look like to you?
And you're 100% right. You have to deliver the statistics. You have to share, and we capture all the data. So I can give you the hard data, and then I can also give you the soft data. And I think they're both really compelling. I'll start with overarching. We hired the Bridgespan Group, which is the premier nonprofit consulting firm, to validate with numbers what we really knew in our hearts, which is that if anyone who donates to us, for every dollar, we deliver $10 of economic impact. And that is
Wow.
very compelling, particularly in the nonprofit space. I know it, I see it, but it quantifies and through our data as well as through academic research. And they did this, they took it all out, they crunched all the numbers, I looked at all the research,
Right.
but it's revenue, it's jobs, it's ripple effect in an
Wow.
economy. But and I can give you quotes like for 92% of the businesses with whom we work remain open a year later. Compare that to the statistic in the United States of America, 20% of businesses fail within the first year, 50% fail within 5 years. So our numbers
Wow.
are so strong.
Right.
86% of the small businesses with whom we work maintain or grow revenues. 90% maintain or grow jobs. And it's because they work with us with our incredibly skilled consulting base. I didn't even talk to you about that. But what we do is we harness Wall Street talent. I started with stay-at-home moms. Now 69% work full-time or part-time. Many Wall Street, Fortune 500 companies, entrepreneurs, because our model works for them. They want to
Right.
use their skills for impact. So our
Of course.
numbers are so compelling, but also I can tell you that we serve, our plan this year is 4,000 small business owners across the United States of America. That's a big number. We need to show those numbers. We need to show how many
Right.
we serve. So you need volume, but then you also need depth. When you work deeply, we just worked with a woman who, she's so awesome. She just won the Small Business Owner of the Year. Her name's Shanika. She was a nurse for 20 years. She really wanted to, and it was a very demanding, challenging job, and mostly she helped people with hardship. And then she wanted to help people with possibility and positivity. So she built an aesthetic spa, a medical spa, and she got everything up and running. And then the landlord said, "You have 30 days and you got to leave because we're redeveloping the
Oh,
building." So we helped her transition to this beautiful new space. We helped her grow her revenues 40%. We helped her
wow.
grow her capacity so that she was always at 80 to 86%. Her daughter has been watching her. Her mother has been watching her. She's first gen, from Trinidad. And like, this is like, these are the stories. And her daughter
Right.
aspires to be like her mother. And
Beautiful.
this business owner credits her mother with teaching her tenacity and grittiness and determination.
Right. And it's just, and it's shocking sometimes how little someone needs that hand up. Just, it doesn't, it's not like you are giving them the fish. You're just saying, here's the pole and here's the water and let me just show you how to use it. Right. You're giving them the tools to survive and thrive. And
Right. And what
that's
makes us different is like we don't give decks. I mean, decks are fine and they're good, but what we really hold your hand. We walk in your shoes. We make sure that what like, if we're going to help you with your finances, you're going to sit down and like we're going to work them through together. We're going to
right.
like work through. We'll teach you how to build a spreadsheet. We'll put in your expenses and we'll tell you, what are you spending money on? We make it really
Right.
clear, really dignified. It's there's
I love that. So talk to me. You're an entrepreneur, obviously yourself, and you can't be an entrepreneur without having a dream. We all start these organizations thinking if we just help one person, if we have these such very simple goals, and then we become our best and worst enemies. However, you decide that where growth falls in that is a good or a bad thing. Um, and so talk to me about what the big dream is for the Acceleration Project, because I'm going to take a gander. It keeps evolving.
Yeah, it's go big or go home. When I sat at my kitchen table and I said, and we started hyper local, and I'm like, okay, we're going to be national and we're going to be like $1 million. And this at the point we had maybe $20,000. People laughed, right? But we are
Not
clear
anymore.
when you're good and you can make a difference. You are like fueled, like you want to do
Right?
this. So I
Right.
plan to blanket the United States with Tap for America, the same way we have Teach for America. We're going to be Tap for America. We already serve across the entirety of the country. We have consultants in 21 states. We help, I think, only 2 states we haven't helped recently. But there's no reason we
Wow.
can't do this. There's absolutely no reason. I just need
I love that.
more funding, and
Yeah,
then we're there.
right. It's always the funding. So for people that are listening that think, wow, like I was a stay-at-home mom, or I am a stay-at-home mom, or I used to do this or that, and I'd love to do something. This is so inspiring, but it's also so overwhelming because, oh my gosh, like you were at kitchen table and now you're across the country. You know, where do I start? What advice would you give to someone, who is thinking about using a skill they have to make a difference, but they don't really know where to start?
So I would think that always taking your first step, like you don't have to get it perfect to be
Right.
able to deliver. Like I wrote a business plan. I will promise you that what we said in the business plan is not at all what we're ultimately doing because you learn on the
Right.
job. But
Right.
don't let like perfection get in the way. Like get started. And
Right.
the other thing I learned in this journey is like I talked about the naysayers, but then I also assembled a board of advisors who were constructive but also positive. Like
Nice.
we do nothing of import alone. Never. Like
Correct.
and
Correct.
so therefore,
Correct.
ask for help. People want to help. People are good. People want to make everyone's lives
100%.
better. But when you
Correct.
ask for help, I think the more specific you can be, people, it's if you're ambiguous, people aren't sure how to help. So if you ask people directly, can you do this particular thing for me? They are more than delighted to be a part.
Right. And that it just, and I do think that people want the passion. We are often, referred to nonprofit founders as passionaries because we're so excited about something that we want everyone to know about it. And then people look over and they're like, oh, I won't. what's Jane having? I want what Jane, I want what Jane's having. She's so excited. And then you're like, oh yeah, come on, come help me. That'd be great. Yeah. Here, you can have some too. What do you do? Yeah, just get to work. Here you go. And that's kind of what we do, right? We get to ignite our fuel and others, and it's really an exciting thing. And then they get to continue and find their gift as well to give it away. And it just keeps going. It's such a our work is so we're so fortunate to be in a position of creating a positive upward trajectory of humanity and kindness and service, and everybody wants that. Everybody wants it.
And you receive well more than you give. So like even we have these amazing consultants who donate their time. They volunteer. We only take actually two-thirds of those who volunteer, who apply to become consultants, because they not only are they good at business, but they're caring, kind, empathetic, can walk
Right.
in someone's shoes. Uh, but they get so much. They get from their business owner, from the community. So we all get so much more than we give.
100% we do. I mean, that's we get, and we get paid in different ways, right? And it's those hugs you talked about. It's that community that we create. It's seeing that we have a tiny cog in moving the needle in someone's life. I mean, there's no better payday than that. It is, and it's addictive.
I know that's true.
It's a little bit addictive. I tell people, like, my husband's like, I wish you were just like a shopaholic. It would have just been easier, because this is a little addictive. But helping people is, and it's such a great, if you're going to catch anything, that's what you should be catching, right? Like, it's a great thing to catch. It's literally the best thing. So talk to me about really what you've learned about yourself in this journey, and how you think it's changed you, or if it has at all. And
Well,
and what would you tell you the earlier version of yourself, before you began all of this?
so the first thing I tell myself is you don't have to get it perfect. You don't have to know it all before you can go ahead and raise your hand. I actually was mayor of my town, and I didn't set out to be mayor of my town, but I set out to fix things in my town. And I wouldn't have necessarily raised my hand. I felt like I had to have accomplished 150% of what it would have been. But by the time my daughter gave me permission by the time she was 10, she's like, okay, you could run for office then, mommy, because you could be out every night and weekends, and that's okay. But I wish I had even dreamed bigger. Like I wish I had known that I could just give myself license to, like, why not you? You know,
Right.
the I was such a rule follower. I was dutiful. I was a good student. And I listened to authority. All of those things, and
Right.
um, I always say I'll come back and be a little more rebellious next time around. I don't know.
But I think that those, I mean, I also think we grew up at a time where, it was like Marlo Thomas, free to be you and me, like you can be anything. I married Tyler Moore and all these things of like that girl and all the stuff, like you can be anything. And then we also had moms that were home with us, and we had these conflicting
Yes.
kind of things happening in our world, because all of a sudden we're like, wait, okay, did all that. And then it's like, but I have these little kids who need me. And where does this all work? And then you don't know how to connect all those pieces that we've kind of, I don't want to say bought into. They're all good. It's just we didn't have a path, because
Right.
we were kind of that people broke the glass ceiling for us, and then we didn't really know what to do with it.
You're
That'd
so
be
right. Like when I went to business school and I was going to run, I had huge aspirations, and then the practical realities of life, step in.
right.
I have three daughters. I am really excited that I think that they're going to be able to do more of, like, I don't know that they're going to have to take 10 years off like I felt like I needed
Right.
to do. And of
Right.
course, it's also a luxury to take the 10 years off,
Correct.
that we were able to
Correct.
do that as a unit. But
Correct.
also I felt like I had, so then when I started, I feel like I had a lot of time I had a lot of time to make up for it. Like I had to move, like I worked like a demon to, like to be able to deliver. And even when I was off, I was always like my kids always thought I was working, even when I didn't get a paycheck, which I thought was
Right.
like a good message for them. Like you're contributing somehow, always contribute however you can, bring your superpowers to whatever community you're in and
And,
make a difference.
right. And I think that that is such a beautiful example for our children, for people that are listening, for everybody, because that's really what we're here to do, as we said in the beginning, is to find what those gifts are and to use them for the greatest good. Whatever they are, there is a place for them, there is a need for them, and there's a reason that you're here and that you have those skills. And how do we use them? So, if you could give the audience kind of one piece of advice about living a life of service, and how service has just fueled you or helped you or given you joy, what would that be?
I think what makes life so fulfilling are the relationships you form. And when you are out in the community helping other people, you forge these deep connections with people who you wouldn't otherwise, encounter. And
Right.
I think that the more we understand each other and the more we work together, the more that we're going to have this like incredibly beautiful, rich existence, and the divisiveness that we face all the time, I think that will kind of wash away. So I believe that service enables connection, that is vitally important to the future of our.
100%. I could not agree more. And I look at this generation as I walk into people that are walking like this, and I'm like, hello, good morning, hi, how are you? Like, I'm right here. And I think, you're connected, but not connected. You might be wired to a million people right now, but you are not connected right here as I'm saying good morning. And that's a problem. That's a problem because we need each other. And at our core, even if when we sat around a fire as ancient man, we were in a community together working to help each other survive. And we still need to do that. We still need to do that. That hasn't changed. The situation may change, but at the core, that hasn't changed. So you are so correct about the power of connection and the power we need from one another to do this work and to make the world a better place.
The more we listen to each other, the more collectively we can solve problems, because you have the diversity of perspective and insight. And AI is coming and it's here, so let's figure out how to embrace it and use it and then not
Right,
leave anybody behind.
right.
So I the number of ideas I have for new challenges I want to address. It's like one thing leads to another, to another, to another, and
Right.
it
And
feels like a life of purpose.
and that is the holy grail, is the life of purpose. And that is literally what you have shared with us, Jane, what you exemplify, and what we should all strive for is finding that, because that's the holy grail of life. Once you have purpose, you have connection, you have gratitude, you have joy, all the things that people want. It's not money, it's not fame, it's not stature, it's connection and joy and purpose. And that's it. That's the lottery. That's what we want, right? That's it. So tell us how we can support you, volunteer, get help from you. Where can we find you? And this is just, and are you helping nonprofits? Are you helping any nonprofits, all businesses?
So yes, and we always have, but we 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 will help nonprofits. We will, of course, help the small business owner. So let us know if you need help. You could find us online, theaccelerationproject.org. You can write to me, Jane, at
Mm,
theaccelerationproject.org. You can find us on LinkedIn. I'm Jane Veron, Veron. You can find us on Instagram, like all of the social media channels. And we welcome everyone. We welcome that small business owner who needs a little help. There is no shame in asking for help. Please ask for help. That's what we're built for. We're good at the functional areas, marketing, strategy, finance ops. We're good at the industries, food and construction and childcare and health, beauty, wellness, service. That's what we're built for. And if you need access to capital, we help you with your personal financial readiness all the way through getting a loan, deploying capital, and thinking about exits. So we are here for you, and we're always here for you, small business owners. Partners, sponsors, we need you. Come along with us, please. We can solve problems, big problems together. So partners and sponsors, we work with a lot of financial institutions. Like huge thank you to Apollo Foundation, Ares Foundation, JP Morgan Chase Foundation, KeyBank, PNC. The list goes on and on. Truist and Etsy, and we need more of you. So please join us, and that's how we can do this. Remember, 10 times return on investment of your foundation dollars. And then finally, pro bono consultants, join us. We train you. We never leave you on your own. Don't screen yourself out. Come apply to us. And there are all the apply buttons on our website.
I love all of that. And that $10, the ROI for donating $1 and getting $10 in impact is huge. So for everyone listening, it doesn't take a lot to make a big difference in someone's life. And I absolutely love that. Jane, I am so grateful for this conversation. I'm so grateful for you inspiring us in so many ways today. And thank you for what you're doing to help our country, to help our small businesses thrive, to help take care of people, and to really bring people together to make a difference. It really is a huge gift. And thank you for sharing yours with the world.
And Heidi, thank you for letting us tell our story. So much time is spent with our heads down doing our work, but I need to tell the story so we know we can invite more people in and we can continue this movement so we build Tap for America.
I love that. And if there's one thing I love to do, it's tell stories, and yours is a great one. So thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Charity Matters podcast. I love my conversation with Jane Vernon, and especially her comment about the more we listen, the more we can solve problems. To learn more about today's guest and other modern day heroes, visit us at charity-matters.com or follow us on Instagram at Charity Matters. If this conversation moved you, and I hope it did, please share, subscribe, or leave a review. It truly helps these stories and the message of goodness travel a little bit farther. But more than that, thank you for believing in goodness, for being a part of our community. Together, we can make a difference. One small act of kindness at a time. Charity.